Hey everyone, let's see here. What's going on? There we go. Hey everyone, it's Andy from Fountain of Youth with Andy. I normally do this Wednesdays, but you know how life can be. Sometimes things get busy and you just can't do your normal show at the normal time. But I was thinking about it and I really wanted to talk about this topic today. And I figured, well, I'll pop it on Thursday. That's the beauty of owning your own business, and having a little bit more flexibility. So today on the Fountain of Youth with Andy, I want to talk about something that is sort of the whole craze of everything that's going on right now, and that is peptides. And you basically see peptides everywhere right now. People are turning to IV injections, they're turning to IVs, they're turning to nasal sprays, they're turning to skin creams, they're turning to supplements, and they're being promoted, like peptides are being promoted for faster healing, anti-aging, pain relief, and of course, better energy, right? And of everything that's been going on, if you've been following me for the last 2, 3 weeks, there's so much information coming out now. And more than anything, everyone needs some healing. If anything, everyone needs some type of repair to boost their immune system up. It's coming to wintertime. This is when the flu's around. This is when there's just more viruses around because of the cold weather, and people are getting sick and they're coughing on each other and so on and so forth. So you really want to be boosting your body's own repair system, his own healing system, and so on and so forth. And so many people are going towards peptides, right? But today, I want to share a little bit clearer pictures about the peptides, because in general, people think there are only, what's the best way? A few options to boost your peptides through exogenous peptides. And I really want to go over, what the risks are, what the costs look like. And at the end, I like to share with you a more natural way to activate your body's own peptides and own healing abilities without basically forcing any exogenous peptides into your body, right? So let's start with this. So peptides nowadays, you see it in wellness centers, you're seeing it on TV commercials, and they're being promoted literally for anything and everything. There's weight loss, inflammation, there's peptides, to boost muscle building, to boost gut repair, to give you better sleep that we're all lacking, because of course sleep is where all the repairs happen, right? So a lot of people are really struggling with sleep. And of course, peptides now is being boosted for anti-aging and even brain optimization, right? And all these advertising, they make it sound so easy. It's like one shot, right? They'll give you a vial, you can do one shot, or one vial of nasal spray, one spray, and you think right away you're going to be younger, stronger, and healthier, right? That's how they make it sound, especially a lot of these wellness centers, right? But what I want people to realize is when it comes to exogenous peptides, there's a little bit more complex, they're a little bit more complex than people think, right? Because with the different delivery systems there are out there, like I mentioned, you got the shots that come in little vials and you do your own shots, right? There's nasal sprays, there's supplements, and then there's skincare creams, right? And depending on which delivery system you're using, it's going to change your absorption rates. It's also going to maybe even make you dependent on some of these things. And of course, when anything is exogenously or introduced to your body externally, there's always some side effects, just like any type of medication. There's always side effects when you are injecting yourself, you're taking something externally, right? So those are things I really want to talk about today, because so many people are looking for the silver bullet, the quick fix, um, to repair their body, trying to put these external peptides, these exogenous peptides into their body, right? And there's a better way, right? So let's go over some of the ways some of these exogenous peptides are taken. I know many friends that were doing this, and I just want to talk a little bit about how they all work. Um, you know, is it for you? The costs involved and stuff like that. So the first one is basically needle injections or subcutaneous injections, right? And generally, depending on how quickly or how much you want these peptides to be going up, you use it daily, or weekly once you get, once you get the levels up. But to be honest, if you're afraid of needles, they sort of suck, right? Like I would not be injecting myself every day to get my peptides, right? That's just insane, right? But that's me. I don't like needles, right? The second thing is nasal sprays, right? There you can get peptides through nasal sprays. Um, they're popular for brain peptides to boost your brain clarity. Some people claim that it can boost, you know, sharper minds, right? So there are certain peptides that can help your body have clearer minds, right? And lowering inflammation in the brain is going to help that, right? But a lot of people don't realize if you're using nasal sprays all the time, it can irritate your sinuses, right? And depending on how often you're using it, you don't really get that good of an absorption too. Then it comes down to the oral capsules, right? The supplements, right? So many people are taking vitamins, so people are used to vitamins as supplements, but now you can get peptides as supplements, right? But what people don't realize is even though oral capsules are so easy to take, just like vitamins, most of the time these peptides they break down your stomach and they never even get to be absorbed into your body. So basically you're just eating very expensive peptides through capsule form, right? So I would never recommend that, because I think you basically is just peeing out those peptides because your body's not going to be able to absorb them. And then the fourth one is IV infusions. This is really direct. This is powerful. This is a great way to get peptides into your body in much higher form. And this is where, a lot of these, you see more and more of these wellness centers popping up and they're saying, well, we got IV fluids that we can give you this peptide, we can give this peptide. This is going to boost health. This is going to boost recovery. This is going to boost muscle health, muscle building, right? But to be honest, they're pretty expensive if you look into it, right? And in my mind, it's not something that you want to be doing long-term use too, right? It's like, do you really want to become an IV junkie? My opinion, right? Once again, these are all my opinions. I'm just sharing with you the different ways that people think the only way they can get peptides into their body, right? And then, there's the topical creams, skincare creams that a very popular one now is you're starting to see more GHK-Cu, right? And GHK-Cu is a copper peptide that is known to tighten skin, give you better hair regeneration, right? A lot of people say that, GHK-Cu can help you grow hair, better skin, it elevates glutathione. But one of the really cool things with the GHK-Cu is it can help your body repair itself by activating stem cells, right? And so there's more and more companies using topical creams like skincare lotion that has it. The only thing is absorption rate is very little. And to be honest, there's just not a lot of peptides that's going to be in the skincare creams to make that big of a difference unless you're actually bathing in it. And even then, I think this science isn't quite there how much you're getting GHK-Cu. You're probably going to get better choices like better elevation GHK-Cu through IV infusions, or even like, like I said from the very beginning, the needle injections that you inject yourself, right? So that would be a better way to get GHK-Cu into your body. And what I want to let people know though is these peptides, these are all naturally being produced in your body, right? And they're all literally just made from amino acids, and our bodies need amino acids to repair itself, right? But when you're talking about exogenous peptides, not endogenous peptides. Endogenous peptides means that your body makes its own, right? From the foods that we eat, right? But when you're getting exogenous peptides, at the end of the day, I don't care how you look at it, they are still basically biologically active drugs, right? And what happens, just think about this. What happens when you take a drug too often, right? I can give an example, back in the day, when I had severe back pain from my car accident, I started with just Tylenol, right? And then regular Tylenol wasn't good enough for the pain. And then I needed Tylenol 3. If people don't understand what Tylenol 3 is way stronger than extra strength Tylenol. And then once Tylenol 3 wasn't strong enough, then they have to give me the prescription strength um, pain medication. And, and later on, it just got to the point that I was just addicted to pain medication because regular Tylenol wasn't strong enough. And I think that that can happen when you're taking, exogenous peptides. Like if you're putting peptides from the outside in, your body can become dependent on it, and you're going to need more and more of it externally, right? But more importantly, just like any type of medication, I always like people to realize what you're putting into your body, there are always side effects, right? And, a lot of them can be minor, right? And a lot of the minor ones could be like, the normal stuff the normal side effects that people say, oh, it's no big deal. I think any side effect is a big deal, but you know, headaches is common, nausea, um, sometimes fatigue, which sort of sucks. You're hoping to get better energy. And then after the peptides, you're actually more tired, right? That's not something you want. Another one that is very common when doing exogenous peptides is you have mood shifts, meaning you can be happy at one point and batshit crazy the next. And not gonna be a pleasant person to be around. I tell you, when I was on pain medication and doped up, I was not the most pleasant guy to be around. Like normally I'll be happy, but it was very easy to set me off, right? So a lot of people that have short tempers, maybe maybe they're taking some drugs that's causing these side effects or even peptides. Another thing is a lot of people can have gut discomfort, right? It can disrupt your digestive system. More importantly, it can disrupt hormonal uh, function, right? It can cause problems with your adrenals, your thyroid. These are things that should be worrisome, right? When it comes down to side effects. And then, of course, if you're using the injections or the IV infusions, well, you're going to have injection site redness or swelling, right? You really, in my opinion, don't want to look like a druggie, right? You don't want to have all these holes in your arm or on the on the side of your belly or your thigh, depending on where you're stabbing yourself to get these exogenous peptides, right? And in extreme situations, and once again, I'm not a doctor. So this is not medical advice. This is just my opinion. But if you look at extreme side effects, you can get immune overstimulation, which is autoimmunity. You can basically get your body to start attacking itself, so you may get flare-ups, right? And that's definitely something you don't want, right? You may be signaling hormones or genes to turn on and turn off, depending which ones they are. So that may not necessarily be a good thing. And sometimes it can also cause cardiovascular stress, or basically heart stress, right? And with all the heart problems and heart attacks and everything that we're seeing right now that's being released, you really want your ticker to be as healthy as possible, right? So definitely, and those are outliers, but who knows? You might be the lucky one to get the outlier, right? And like I said, but the biggest long-term, concern if you use exogenous peptides is your body becomes dependent on them. And just like anything else, once you start depending on something, like when your body starts depending on something, guess what? It stops. It stops making its own natural production. So these peptides, which your body should normally make on its own, your body's going to get lazy. It's not going to make it anymore because it's just assuming you're injecting it, you're ingesting it, you are IVing it, whatever it is. And to me, as a functional longevity coach, to me, that's the opposite of longevity. We want to stimulate our body to repair itself, right? We want to stimulate our body to know when you have damage, to go out to those areas, to start repairing those areas, right? You want your body to be sharp, to know when there's a virus, to attack it rather than attacking itself, thinking your body has a virus, right? So these are things that is really, really important to think about. But the other thing a lot of people don't think about is how expensive, like really, how expensive these things can be. So a lot of people don't think about this, but when you're going exogenous peptides, if you're doing like the needle injections daily, weekly, right? Peptide cost, depending what you're going with, right, can go between $200 to $1,200 a month. So I don't know if you got that. It's $200 to $1,200 a month, right? And of course, the $1,200 a month is the one that you're probably going to see more response. And the 200, you probably won't see anything, for months until the peptide starts elevating, like through oral, taking it orally, right? And to me, that's a pretty hefty investment that you need to do on yourself. And remember, since these are exogenous, once you stop taking them, your body's not going to have them. And since you're taking them and your body was dependent on them, your body's going to forget how to make it, right? So you're going to be stuck taking these forever once you get started, right? And that's the thing. You never, never want your body to be dependent on drugs and medication to take care of itself, right? So what I want to talk about, of course, is, over the last 12 years, I'm always looking at natural ways to elevate your body's, own repair systems, right? And there are many ways, if you follow me, I got many, many protocols that I have done over the years. And, we're going to have some exciting protocols that we're going to be releasing soon too. But what people don't realize, like I said in the very beginning, is if you support your body actually can make its own peptides, right? And but with all the things going on in the world, people are aging, right? People may get hurt, depending on what you're eating, what you're drinking, what type of job you have, and the environment you're exposed to. You're probably getting inflammation through work, the air, the food, right? And chronic stress causes inflammations. Like I said, you got the toxins, and more importantly, the spike protein now, right? For all of those people there that got what's the best word to say it? without sounding judgmental, that got convinced into taking the COVID vaccines, a lot of you might be producing this toxic spike protein still in your body, right? Which is causing all sorts of havoc. It's literally tearing your body down, causing heart damage, autoimmune problems, and premature aging, right? So these are things that is going on in our body that is breaking down our ability to make these peptides, right? Because our body should be able to make these peptides naturally, right? And of course, it's aging. As you get older, a lot of these peptides slow down and you don't make as much of them as you're younger. That's why, when people say, I'm getting older, right? Well, aging and older doesn't mean the same thing, right? When you're aging, you can still have your body at a younger state so you don't get older, if that makes sense, right? That's the way I look at things. We want to be aging. So our number can go up on a driver's license. I don't really care about that number, to be honest, right? It's really the state of your body, how young your body is inside. So, age is just a number in my mind, but a lot of people are getting older because they're not supporting the body's natural way to heal and repair itself, right? And it really is reminding your body how to take care of itself, reminding your body what it needs to do to activate your own peptides, right? So one of the things that I am so excited about, because like I said, most people think to get peptides, you either have to inject it, IV infusion, you have to spray it through your nose or take supplements. There's is a natural way to elevate your own peptides. And this is something that was introduced to me 2.5 years ago. So, of course, I'm very excited to share with you this. Every week we talk about how LifeWave products can literally, literally change your life, right? So, LifeWave products, they use phototherapy. And what phototherapy means is it's using your body's own light, right? All human beings, all living things, we emit infrared light. So it's using your own body's infrared light, and by reflecting back certain frequencies and using your heat from your body, it can elevate certain peptides, right? So to me, that's really, really exciting because it's actually getting your body to create its own peptides without any chemicals. There's nothing forcing it. It's all natural. And the most beautiful thing is when you're using your own body's light, because we're all beings of light, we're all beings of frequency. When you're using certain frequencies of light to elevate peptides in your body, there are no side effects, right? There's nothing injected into your body. You're not taking anything externally. There's no side effects. And to me, that's very important when it comes down to boosting your body's ability to repair itself. So today, I just want to share a couple of patches that are my go-tos. These are my non-negotiables, right? And for each person that's out there, depending on what you need, you might not need all of them, but for me, these are the ones that are non-negotiable. There's a couple that I use every day, and then the other ones I use every other day, depending on how I'm feeling, right? The first one is the X39, right? This is the one that is the non-negotiable, right? This elevates your GHK-Cu copper peptide. And if you remember earlier, this is the peptide everyone's talking about, and everyone's trying to get on the bandwagon to push this peptide because there's so many studies showing that this peptide is basically your body's master repair molecules. Okay, so if you elevate this peptide, your body just starts faster healing for tissue, tissue repair, that collagen repair. And of course, we have collagen in our skin, in our hair, in our nails, right? And in our joints, right? So when you get faster, more collagen repair, you actually get younger, right? Because when you're younger, you lose collagen. That's why you see people start getting, they start losing all the tone in their face, right? Because they don't have any more collagen. But more importantly, GHK-Cu reduces inflammation. And everything going on in the world right now, we are just so stressed, you know, in everything that we are causing inflammation. And like I said, inflammation is coming from our food, water, air, and the negative people we're hanging out about. So, always try to hang out with people that's going to elevate you rather than bringing you down. But, reducing inflammation, right? GHK-Cu can also dull joint pains, right? And one of the most exciting things is GHK-Cu is shown to reset over 4,000 genes within about 2 days, right? It resets them to a younger state, to a healthier state, right? And that's really important because there aren't too many protocols out there that can reset that many genes. Like exercise resets like 2 genes, right? I know there's a lot of talk about resveratrol, right? And I think that resets 9 genes. This resets 4,000 genes. And of course, the most exciting thing that everyone is trying to get GHK-Cu in the products is when GHK-Cu elevates, it activates stem cells, right? And we all know stem cells is your master repair cell. Stem cells can turn into whatever it needs to be, depending on what you have damage in your body. If you got bone damage, stem cells can change into bone to have faster repair in the bones. If you have heart damage, guess what? When they say hearts takes forever repairs, because, well, you don't got a whole lot of stem cells, right? It can change to heart repair cells. You have brain damage, it can turn into nerve cells, right? It can turn into skin cells, right? Stem cells are so amazing. And when you're aging, as you get older, stem cells decline, right? So by time you're 30, most people are thinking, well, my metabolism's slowing down. That's why I'm getting, I get hurt easier. I'm getting fat, and the body just doesn't seem to be the same as before. Well, at 30, you probably lost about 40% of your stem cells. By 50, I'm 55, and if I weren't using this product at 55, most people have lost about 75% of their stem cells, right? Active stem cells, right? So basically, we're aging. We're getting older, not because we're aging. We're getting older because our lack of stem cells, right? So by using products that can elevate your GHK-Cu, that can elevate your stem cells, which will put you into a younger state. One of the other beauty of the X39 is it boosts glutathione. Glutathione, is your master antioxidant. The X39 studies have shown it boosts about 30% daily, right? But more importantly, we also have the glutathione patch, which actually can boost it 300% daily, right? And glutathione is so important for cleansing the body of toxins, heavy metals. It literally just puts the fire out in inflammation. And it is so important to support your immune system. A lot of people, when their glutathione is elevated, they have clearer thinking, improved detoxification, it reduces oxidative stress, it makes your immune system more resilient. And me, I'm always talking about having more resiliency, right? The ability to bounce back when you get sick. And the more glutathione you are, the more energy you can produce, right? So, your energy stays more steady throughout the day. So to me, that's really, really important. Having abundant glutathione is very important, especially right now as we get into winter and everyone's passing some type of viral load, right? So if you see me, I am always wearing my glutathione. And then just 2 more that I'm really excited to share. One of them is the Carnosine, right? And if you do Google Carnosine or DuckDuckGo, I don't use Google, I use DuckDuckGo, Carnosine, you will see all the benefits of Carnosine, right? The more Carnosine you have in your body, the more you will actually hold your state of where you are from aging, right? There's studies showing that. So like basically you can almost stop your aging by having higher carnosine levels. So your driver's license number could be going up, but your age actually stays at where your carnosine is highest, right? So it's very, very important, right? Carnosine, I use this, between the carnosine and glutathione, I probably cycle it out, between the two of them every other day, right? But if you're into working out, if you are a gym junkie, carnosine is great for muscle repair. When you talk about cellular health, we all know how important mitochondria is. Carnosine boosts mitochondria energy, right? And carnosine boosts your tissue strength and flexibility, which is really, really important as we get older, right? We lose a lot of our flexibility, we lose a lot of our strength, right? And that's what we don't want, right? We want to be strong from the inside out. So definitely look into carnosine. And then the last one, this one's sort of exciting, and I don't think anyone talks about this one enough, is the aloe vera patch, right? And this is one of the peptides that I know a lot of people use for the needle injections and even the IV infusions, because aloe vera has the peptide called Epitalon. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I believe it's called Epitalon. And Epitalon is such an interesting peptide because it is shown to support your telomere length, right? And if anyone studies longevity, depending on how long your telomeres are, is basically how long you're going to stay at a younger state. And as we get older, our telomeres unravel. And the best way to envision telomeres is if you remember what shoelaces are. I know a lot of people, you wear slip-ons, but if you still have shoelaces on your runners or on your shoes, they have these end caps at the end of shoelaces so you can push it through the holes easier, right? To prevent the shoelace from falling apart. Our telomeres are very similar. Just imagine those end caps. As we get older, those end caps get shorter and shorter and shorter. And then when the end cap disappears, your DNA just unravels, right? That's not what we want. We want those end caps to be super long and staying on those damn shoelaces or on the telomeres. And Epitalon has a lot of studies to not only slow down telomere degradation, but even some studies that show it can actually lengthen telomeres. So very, very exciting, studies on Epitalon. Epitalon is also great to help support sleep, right? So for all these supplements that you may be taking, these peptides for better sleep, well, this is going to help you better sleep. Great, just like glutathione and GHK, it reduces oxidative stress. Great for cellular repair. And it also helps boost your immune system. But Epitalon is really good for smooth skin, right? For those that want to look much younger than the years, aloe vera is great for tightening your skin. For those that don't want to use any of those creams or those injections to make you look like you got a frozen face all the time, well, this might be a great alternative, right? It really, really nourishes you at the cell level, right? So just to go over, these are the ones I'm talking about. So X39 is GHK-Cu, glutathione, self-explanatory, glutathione, carnosine, and aloe vera, right? So this is a great natural way to use your body's own natural light to boost these natural peptides, right? And I just want everyone to know, our bodies are designed to create our own peptides. It's just forgotten how, or it's gone dependent on external sources, or our body is just so overloaded with everything that's going on that we can't produce them fast enough. So using the LifeWave products can help your body regenerate these peptides a little better, right? So before you jump on to the whole peptide bandwagon that everyone's talking about, I think it's worth asking yourself a simple question. Do I need to force more peptides into my body, right? Or do I need to help my body remember how to make them, right? Everybody's biology, it isn't broken, right? I think it just comes to a point that it just may have forgotten how to do this. And if you just give it the right signals, right? Just the right signals to get your body to remember how to heal and repair itself, you start seeing really, really amazing results. So if you want to learn a little bit more how to elevate your peptides safely, naturally, and more affordable. By the way, this is about the price of a cup of coffee every day. You be just wearing it. What one new patch a day, this is what they look like, just to give you an idea, right? And I'm wearing it right here. You wear it for 12 hours a day. You put it on first thing in the morning, and you take it off when you sleep, right? And each pack comes with 30 patches, which is good for 30 days, right? And the X39, which is the flagship, is about the price of a cup of coffee each day, about $9 a month, right? But this will elevate your GHK copper peptide naturally and continuously, right? So if you want to learn more, join our private WhatsApp community, Chronically Healthy Circle of Andy, where you can just ask me any questions in the community. But if you want to, where's my thing here? If you want to, donde está? Here it is. If you want to have a more private one-to-one, schedule a one-to-one session with me at longevitywithandy.com, and we can set up a 30-minute consult. I would love to talk with you and share more powerful ways to support your longevity, to help you repair from the inside out. Anyways, that's my talk for the peptide today. If you want any questions and all, reach out to me, comment on the live post, right? I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to learn more about LifeWave products, hit me up at chronicallyhealthylife.com. I will see everyone next week.